coming up this week on the Course of Life podcast. 2023 golf kicked off in a big way in paradise, and I got us all a quick winner to start off the year. Nothing better. Plus, we're tuned into The Menu and an interesting Wedding Crashers reunion as well. We'll get back into that. And this week's guest, we have a recurring guest. One of our favorites, friend of the show, local Austin-ite here alongside myself, talking about Ali Khan. You know him from the Food Network. He has a new NFL Tailgate themed show on this week and in weeks to come. And it's our January diet update and dining out when we always end with food. All of it brought to you by our friends at Desert Fox Golf. And Mike, I'm excited. PGA show is 2 weeks away.
It is.
I'm heading to Orlando, and I'm going to meet up with a Desert Fox team. They're going to have a nice presence at the PGA show as well, too. And I love hearing the conversations that the Desert Fox Golf guys have with all these reps and golf business members as they come up and learn about the phone caddy and the line of products and just how truly useful and utilizable they are for clubs and event runners. So not only from a one-to-one golfer standpoint, if you're thinking of running a large event or you want to have a cool golf giveaway in your life for any event you're running, Desert Fox Golf has great gifts for that and more. So check out desertfoxgolf.com and desertfoxproducts.com. Use our promo code Course of Life to save 10% off. Again, for anything on their website, Course of Life saves you 10% off. Desert Fox Golf. Check them out.
Hello, interwebs, and welcome to Course of Life. We are proud to be presented by our friends at Desert Fox Golf and Voris Golf. I'm Michael. It's Alex. And Alex, it's the new year, and it's that means it's time for the Sentry Tournament of Champions at Kapalua. As usual, the star power was out in paradise. The birdies were rolling.
Oh, yeah.
For almost everybody. Not Billy Horschel on the first day. Everyone else was like three or more under par. Billy was not in the complete opposite direction. But it's all right. He came back. But this looked like Morikawa's tournament to lose, and he lost it.
Oh, yeah. We had the Colin Morikawa parade going on Saturday night on Twitter, I saw. And I had, I guess, kind of thrown those tweets to the side and assumed I shouldn't have tuned in. But something told me that this wasn't completely over. I've seen fireworks. I've seen crazy runs on this course before, and sure enough, that happened again on Sunday. I mean,
it was a crazy one by Jon Rahm. He had a fantastic Sunday, but and I asked this question a lot on this podcast, and I'm going to ask it again. Was this a Morikawa loss or is this a Jon Rahm win?
Yeah, this was a 70% Morikawa loss. I was ready for this answer. I have the percentages of the pie ready to be divvied out. 70% Morikawa loss, 29% Rahm win, and 1% just lucky paradise air, I think. Just a couple things going right for Rahm and being in the right position. But this is the way Jon Rahm's career has operated, Mike. He's never really been the number one guy for extended periods of time, but he's always just delivering body blows. He delivers impressive performances. He knocks on the door of winning tournaments. He throws himself on a bunch of leaderboards. And eventually, when you do that over and over again, you're going to get gifted wins like this, even at moments when you least expect them.
Yeah. Do you think, is Rahm the kind of player that kind of set up his play like Tiger did, where it was like, I just want to be in contention. I don't want to make big errors. I just want to play to be in the top 5 at every tournament, and I'm going to win a bunch of those tournaments.
Yeah.
Because he now has 3 global wins in his last 4 starts, right?
Yeah, I know. Yeah, hit that race to Dubai as well, too. He's been winning all over, if you really think about it. Yeah, and that's the thing. It's just putting yourself in position a million times and thinking, my game, if I'm finishing in the top 5, it is good enough to accidentally get me a few wins a year, just by putting myself in that position. He did it again. It was really impressive. 63, not to be discounted, for sure. That's why I'm giving him the 29% there. So very impressive stuff for Jon Rahm. And it was an overdue win. I'm going to tout the pick. I put it on my Run Your Pool article. I said he was the guy to pick, but it wasn't a huge surprise. He was one of the betting favorites. He finished runner-up here last year. He'd been knocking on the door. An overdue victory for Rahm at Kapalua.
I mean, so I have a couple different questions that we'll talk about with Kapalua in general. So Let's talk about Rahm then. So how many majors for John Rahm in 2023?
Yeah, that's an interesting question.
Over under 1.5.
The Green Jackets, there's another overdue spot for him as well, too. He's just got the U.S. Open at Torrey Pines. So he does have the credentials to play hard at tough venues. It's going to be at Oak Hill PGA as well, another gritty U.S. Open style track. So these are types of places that do favor him. Just hitting that 310 pounder out there, just fairways. I'm going to green you to death. I'm going to be around. I'm electric enough to make birdie putts when I need to. I give him a chance to win one this year, so I'll put him on the board for one. How about that?
Okay. So Morikawa did not have a great 2022.
No, yeah, definitely down here for him.
Especially what we saw from him previous to that. So he looked like he was going to, just kind of take a leisurely stroll on Sunday and take this W, and instead he has an implosion. So what do we think about Morikawa's 2023 after this?
I think it's still going to be pretty good, to be honest. I think it's going to be way better than 2022. It's interesting how just 18 holes flips that narrative completely.
Yeah,
we were about to do the, wow, Colin Morikawa is back. You were going to ask me if Colin Morikawa was going to win the championship and be the number one golfer in the world on the heels of an 8-shot victory at Kapalua. So it just goes to show you how 18 holes truly flips the narrative there.
It's amazing how 72 holes is very different from 54.
Yes, it is. Yeah. There you go. You got your little joke in for the day.
There we go. So that's Sentry Tournament of Champions at Kapalua. Worth noting, Scotty Scheffler had a good weekend as well. Rory wasn't there, so there's talk, is Rahm going to eventually get a chance here to be the number one golfer in the world? We'll see what happens.
Yeah, and by the way, designated event, these special events now, $200K, last place at the Sentry Tournament of Champions. So.
Pretty nice.
Yeah,
pretty nice. All right, let's look ahead to the next weekend. There's really not much else going on in the world of golf, so let's just look ahead to the Sony Open. They stay in Paradise. They stay at Wailea for the Sony Open.
Oh yeah, I mean this course is near and dear to my heart. I tell this story every single year, and we'll see if it brings up any memories by now. But back in about 1997 or 98, N64 released a golf video game that only had one course that you could play on it. And the game was called Wailea Country Club. So I know this course like the back of my hand. I can't tell you how many times I wore my thumb down to callus level on a Tuesday afternoon when I got home from school, just burying 18 holes at Wailea. So I know the course very well, and the wind whips up. And I talk about that in my Run Your Pool preview, which is out on runyourpool.com. But always a little bit of adversity here. But again, the cool part about this is the first like super full field. We get all the rest of the PGA Tour and not just the champions playing this week.
So I'm going to throw out a couple names, and you give me an up-down vote on whether you either have them in your card or would put them in your card. Jordan Spieth.
Jordan Spieth is not in my card this week.
Okay.
He looked okay at Kapalua. I'm very tempted to pick him, but this is one of those situations where I think the public is betting a lot on him this week. When you look at the depth of the field, it's not super deep. So he's just a friendly, easy pick to make because there's not a lot of guys at the top. But I don't think he's got the form to win this week.
Okay. Two other names I'm going to give you. Tom Kim.
Oh, yeah. Interestingly enough, Tom Kim, the Las Vegas betting odds-on favorite to win the Sony Open in Hawaii.
Interesting.
If you can believe that. Yeah, that's definitely the first time he's topped that list for sure. So a new role regardless. But yeah, it was good to see him out at Kapalua. It looked like he was playing well. So yeah, I mean, I'm going to say why not? I'll say go to the article to see if he's on my card, but definitely think about him.
All right. And the last name I'm going to throw out there, easy money in winter 2022. So what is he now in 2023? Taylor Montgomery.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Yeah, we stand Taylor Montgomery on this podcast. In case you haven't been here, welcome to Course of Life. This is the Taylor Montgomery fan club. 5 top 20s in the fall. He's turning the corner, heading out to Paradise. And we're going to get another top 20 this week. Taylor Montgomery confirmed on the card. The spoiler is out.
All right. So that full card on runyourpool.com will be there, and picks up on Twitter as well Wednesday night. That Run Your Pool one is up there now as you're listening to this podcast. So go check it out. Let's go ahead and switch over to Tuned In, where we share what we're tuning into outside of the world of sports. Before I talk about the movie that I watched this week, I need to give a shout out to sitting in my bed Friday night on my phone on Twitter as the highly anticipated vote for speaker went down in the House of Representatives.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, this was I wasn't watching on C-SPAN. C-SPAN had the best week of their life last week.
Yes,
we know that.
I did note. I will add a note about this. The gossip watching on C-SPAN, watching the House floor is hilarious, regardless of any political affiliation. Yeah. It was true theater to watch them all run around and yell at each other.
Crazy. And the interaction between McCarthy and Matt Gaetz and Bobart from Colorado was just incredible after that failed 14th vote before they went to
the guy getting mouth restrained as well too.
Yeah,
I have to mention him.
Just crazy. I mean, the whole thing is just so unbelievable crazy. All I have to say is buckle up. Absolutely nothing is going to happen for the next 2 years out of Congress.
Fun movement in Washington as usual.
Always. So maybe we'll bring back pop politics for the next couple of years because I think it could be fun. We'll see what happens. But on the lighter side, we finally turned on a Netflix film that's been out there for a while. The Eurovision Song Contest, the story of Fire Song.
Now, what's the Wedding Crashers reunion I referenced at the top here? You mentioned this is a Will Ferrell piece. Well, who's in this?
Yeah, so it's Will Ferrell and Rachel McAdams.
Wow, amazing memories from freshman year in college. Just burning that DVD into the ground, watching that movie over and over again.
I mean, I still quote Wedding Crashers. I'm sure you do as well.
Oh yeah. I mean, every time I see a crab cake on a menu, I just kind of chuckle myself. That's it.
Crab cakes in football. That's what Maryland does.
Right. Go Terps. Love it.
So yeah, this was a comedy about the Eurovision Song Contest in Europe, the highly popular Eurovision Song Contest. In Europe, where Will Ferrell and Rachel McAdams play a Icelandic couple who go to the contest and try to win it. And that's all I'm going to say. It's comedy hits all your usual comedy notes of your kind of like down and out duo who maybe shouldn't be doing what they're doing and are trying to chase a dream, and that maybe should be, a couple together and in love, and they're not. And so it's going to hit everything you expect it to hit. But it was enjoyable. It was a good way to spend 2 hours. And plus it had Pierce Brosnan. Just fantastic.
My favorite Bond as well too. See, admittedly, 6 out of 7 times you give these great tuned-ins for the masses. They don't necessarily appeal to me. This one you just hit a home run with, right?
There you go.
Will Ferrell, Rachel McAdams, Pierce Brosnan, funny. That's all you need to tell me right there.
Yeah, there you go. Go ahead. Go watch it. 2 hours. Not that bad.
And I got a movie suggestion back at you. Have you seen The Menu or heard about this?
I have heard of it because it was filmed. Some of it was filmed here in Savannah, so I'm well aware of it. I know what it's about. It's not super high on my list, but it's on the list.
Yeah, it was a weird one. It wasn't really high on my list either. It just hit my radar and it happened to be on HBO at the right moment for us to record and watch. Anya Taylor-Joy stars. I most notably noticed John Leguizamo in the movie, but there's some other great actors and actresses there.
Lord Voldemort is in it. Lord Voldemort is in it.
Yes, exactly. Loaded cast. A couple guys from the Resident show I watch on Fox are in there as well too. So all sorts of random people in there. But the bottom line is, it's a hauntingly interesting foodie thriller is the way I would coin it. Just the most interesting, fancy 7-8 course meal of your life. I really don't even remember how many courses there are, but they will remind you of each and every course in the meal. To be sure of that. And Mike, your favorite part is going to be when the cheeseburger comes out, because that's just when the movie gets really weird.
Yeah, I know what it's about. I know what it's about. I will say that. And it is one of those movies or shows that's pretty popular right now. It seems to be the taking down of the rich, wealthy, and spoiled.
Right, exactly. We want to cancel the people who have all the things in the world, right?
Yeah, exactly.
It's a conveniently universal opinion, so I get down with that, right?
Yeah.
They get taken down, all right. You'll have to watch the movie to find out how, though.
Yeah. So The Menu and Eurovision Song Contest, 2 movies to check out there on your streaming platforms. Let's go ahead and get into this week's guest, Ali Khan. Once again, Alex, you really have been in touch with Ali Khan since 2019, back when you met him in Austin, Texas.
He gave me a food tour at the end of my employment of a past job I had, and he gave me and my coworkers an amazing food tour around Austin. And that's how I first met Ali Khan, if you can believe that, about 4 years ago.
Crazy. And his career has taken off. He's on the Food Network, and he's going to be hosting the new series NFL Tailgate Takedown on the Food Network.
Pretty cool. Yeah, he's judging for 3 of the 6 episodes, and the first of 3 that are airing featuring Ali is on this Wednesday night. Food Network, 9/8 Central. It's a very cool NFL-themed tailgate show starring NFL legends. I'll let him tell you all about it, but he takes us behind the scenes on production of what was a really fun and food-filled journey through NFL stadiums.
All right, we'll get to that conversation in just a moment. But first, Alex, I have a question for you. Did you, like most people in this country and really even the world, receive some cold, hard cash for the holidays?
Yes, that's always nice. Just when you think maybe the gifts are over, you just have that lovely little family member in your life that gets you that 20 or that gift card you really needed. You know,
that's right. And as it's winter, now we live in warmer climates, but a lot of people may be looking at restocking their golf equipment and looking at what do they need in their bag for the new year, right? So what a lot of us probably need and maybe don't replace as often as we should is our golf glove, right? This is one of the most important pieces of equipment. We like all these other gadgets and things you can have, but the golf glove is an imperatively important piece of equipment to have in your bag.
And when it rips fast too.
It does. And our friends at Voris Golf have a pretty awesome golf glove that you can get in black or white. I love that it comes in black. And it includes their Through Touch technology. So you can still use your smart device and that touch screen that usually doesn't work with anything on your finger. You can still use it with your golf glove from Voris Golf, which is just fantastic. And you can get it from them. They'll ship it to you. And you can save 18% off that glove plus everything else that they sell on their website with our promo code COL18. So maybe you could buy yourself 2 golf gloves. Why not?
Absolutely.
So that's vorisgolf.com, VORAUS golf.com. That promo code again, COL18, save you 18% off anything on their website.
Next up, back on the show, he's a food TV personality and host. You've definitely seen him on the Food Network, and he's back with a new Food Network series that blends our loves of sports, tailgating, and food. It's Ali Khan joining us on the Course of Life. Ali, how's everything where you are?
Well, I mean, as we were just describing, Alex, you and I are both survivors of the Southwest meltdown.
We are, yes. Honorary club.
But it's now 2023. I'm back in Austin. You're back in Austin. And I'm just kind of rebooting. 2022 ended up being a pretty busy last couple months. I want to say the last, it's really funny when you do stuff that I do, because sometimes you're like, what's happening now? You know what I mean? Sometimes your arms are full just with stuff, and you're like, how do I keep up? And then you're like, oh my God, what am I doing? What should I be doing? What else is out there besides, just say in one instance, TV, so I've been pushing a podcast for a bit, and that's actually been showing some growth. But 2022, last 4 months, got real busy, very exciting. And now I'm in the beginning of 2023, some of the fruits of that labor are about to start airing, like NFL Tailgate Takedown. And I'm just kind of focusing on, pushing that out there, because that's the big thing. Promo and production. One can argue they're equally as important. Perhaps promo is even more important. So pushing out the new show and just, just kind of like taking advantage of some interesting opportunities that have been coming my way.
Yeah, love to hear it. And if you follow him on IG, or if you don't, it's Ali Khan Eats. Your location is all over the place. I see you hitting all sorts of cities and states. We'll get to Texas and everything beyond in the world of food that you're doing. But specifically for the Tailgate Takedown, it's Wednesdays, 9/8 Central on the Food Network, streaming on Discovery Plus. And this was a unique series filmed on location at different NFL stadiums. And you got to be part of the judging for a few of the select cities. Just tell everyone about the experience. I know we talk a lot about tailgating. We attend our fair share of football games ourselves. But what was it like being part of the show and this new concept for yourself?
Well, I mean, honestly, first of all, I think NFL Tailgate Takedown is as fun as it sounds. And it was as fun, or probably more fun, actually doing it. It was a dream of a show. And, just to get it out there, just like a real tailgate. at any sporting event, but obviously pretty epic at NFL games. We each episode takes place at an actual NFL game. This was a 2.5 year partnership. I mean, it took 2.5 years for this partnership to come about with NFL Films and Food Network. Lo and behold, it happened. And each episode, each week, over the next 6 weeks, we are at actual NFL games in the parking lots of the stadiums. The episode that just aired was Dallas Cowboys at New York Giants. And the one coming up that's airing, my first episode that I'll be in as a judge, was Indianapolis Colts at the Denver Broncos. And it's so cool, Alex, just to even describe a show I'm in and describe it like it's the freaking NFL sketch.
Yeah, it sounds like you're in the starting lineup for the Broncos or the Colts right now, the way you're phrasing it.
It's so wild. And, you know, like, I'll tell you, like, I feel like, look, you know, I think it's fair to say people, and the NFL is obviously so popular and so powerful, and that's a conversation. That's a podcast in itself, right? And I think it's fair to say, look, I know like some of us could almost have mixed feelings about the NFL for a variety of reasons, politically, whatever. I know for myself, being from St. Louis, the NFL, that hurt, man. They left us twice.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like, you know, not just the Rams, but the Big Red, the Cardinals back in the day. So it's an interesting thing, the NFL, but it is a force. It is, and you look at like how popular it's become, and just everything about it just screams kind of, you know, modern American life. And a part of that includes food and being innovative and being creative, and all of us kind of like, you know, putting on our chef hats when it comes to lighting up the grill. You know, I mean, if there's one thing where I think like, you know, home cooking becomes just spectacular in America, it's certainly around the grill. Like, we are a grilling culture, man. And we literally take advantage of that, and we celebrate that in each episode of this show. So there's a lot of things about it that are just incredibly exciting.
Yeah, it's awesome to hear about. And I mean, that combo, like you said, of the grilling and the tailgating with the football, it you know, you just can't name a more American combo. So I hope that's resonating through the season, and the passion of the fans is also what makes the NFL so unique too.
Yeah, I mean, you know, like, look, this is our thing, man. It is our thing. And like, freaking tailgating is really our thing. Yeah. I mean, you know, it goes, you know, to me, for someone like me who's essentially food obsessed, food knowledgeable, whatever, food nerd, whatever you want to call it, obviously, like, you know, this country's big, it's regional, it's got food traditions that become very strong in certain areas and stuff like that. And you see that kind of regional homage happening on the grill. And as judges, we expect it. You know what I mean? Like, if the Philadelphia Eagles are playing the Houston Texans, I better get a cheesesteak. Something's wrong if I don't get a cheesesteak, you know? And what I think was cool was, you know, over the course of the 3 episodes, the 3 games, I don't know if I should call them games or episodes. I feel like they're more games.
Both,
but, you know, with the one that's coming up tomorrow, Colts at Denver, you say to yourself, well, what is like Indy? Like, what's their food about? And this leans upon my Cheap Eats background, because Cheap Eats was very much about traveling the country experience what foods scream of a certain place, right? That's something that I always was just drawn to with doing a show like a Cheap Eats and basically that travel log. And so you ask yourself, how's Indy going to show me what Indy's about? And Denver too. And sometimes it's an easy answer, because you have a city like, say, New York City, that's like, you know, you get a slice on the streets in New York City, and well, you know, there's so many foods we associate with certain places. But the truth is a lot of the great food traditions we have now, I mean, how much of them have like really popped up in the last, let's be honest, 20 years?
Absolutely.
20 years
the internet
now.
age. Yeah.
Right? I mean, we're in Austin. You think they had all this stuff 20 years ago? And I'll throw a little flash. I mean, Alex, are you from Austin?
I'm originally from the Northeast in Boston, Massachusetts, but I've been in Austin for 12 years. So I definitely have seen the change for sure.
All right. So straight up, Boston, North End.
Yep.
I'm already thinking about the chicken parm I had in Brico Solu Maria, Italian food, all that stuff. And that's been around for, dude, it's to me, eating a chicken parm there it's got to be dating back to like the early 20th century. And it's just an old city, right? But in Austin, like, what were they doing 20 years ago? And I think like what's cool is when you go to a place like Denver, it's like, you know what? They figured some stuff out recently. You know what I mean? And whatever that is, whatever's happening, like you can leverage that. And I really enjoyed it when I could see some of these competitors go, well, let me tell you about Denver right now, and I think that's exciting and relevant, and people should know about it beyond like the tried and true, the almost food stereotypes, if you will. Because you know what? Look, who doesn't want a lobster roll in New England? Everybody does. But I guarantee you, Boston's got a whole lot more going on than just lobster, butter, and a top-loading hot dog bun. Am I right?
Absolutely. Yeah, there's so much more to it. So that's what we want to see shine through from these different cities. And I'm looking forward to watching the Tailgate Takedown. So what we're going to do now is let's talk tailgate within the theme of the show and kind of the different rounds that are on display for the competitors at each of these games with Ali Khan here. So we're starting with first down. So we're talking about the apps and the bite-sized snacks for the parking lot, setting the tone for the tailgate, if you will, the first bites you get when you're starting your tailgating day. Tell me about kind of your keys to great apps and bite-sized snacks and what you enjoyed most about what you saw from the competitors on first down in the show.
Well, it's amazing. Like for some people, maybe some folks who don't even know about when you go to a really upscale, fancy, expensive restaurant and they just throw a little tiny bite of food on your plate. And you're like, I didn't order this. But you're like, nah, dude, it's cool. It's free. It's a little something to wet your whistle. You know what I mean? Get the appetite, get the savory, get the flavor going, let the juices salivate, right? To do that around a grill is something that I personally have been doing for a very, very long time. Like to me, it's just like, heck yeah, the amuse-bouche. And we certainly talk about how it's important because a tailgate's a feast. It's not just like, oh, let me just have a quick little sandwich and then let me get back to my desk for work. It's like, I've seen people throw down Thanksgiving dinners at tailgates.
Yes.
Like full on. I've gotten a plate of Thanksgiving at Eagles 49ers. Facts at Candlestick, dude. These guys deep fried a turkey. So, tailgates are feasts, and feasts mean multiple courses. And, you want to kind of like have a crescendo. Any great meal, anyone who wants to ever like kind of go, Ali, what is it? What do you mean 12 courses? I'm like, well, here's what it means. It means we're going to start somewhere. We're going to build. We're going to get to something. You know what I mean? But in order to get to that mountaintop, right, to get to that peak, you got to like be strategic about how you want to start things off. And obviously having a small little bite as a promise of what's to come, that works whether you're throwing down at like 11 Madison Park in New York City for your $100 dinner, or if we're throwing down at Q2, dude. Actually, maybe not Q2 because that's a very short tailgate and it's not technically as encouraged as it is in the
We'll
NFL.
go with NRG. How about that?
Yeah, well, there. Trust me. When I was there, we certainly threw down. We were certainly there, and ready for the long haul as we expected. But look, honestly, what I would do back in the day, I just throw like one of my go-to moves, and this definitely would speak to the local audience, right? Get yourself to a place like Central Market. Go to the meat section where they got all those sausages. Don't even worry about buns, bro. Buy yourself like a mix of andouille, maybe some sweet Italian.
Yep.
Maybe they got some like garlic sausages. Throw them on the grill, slice them up, and just pass out. Have a little bite of sausage.
Bite-sized meat on a stick. Can't go wrong with that.
Dude, you can't. And it's, because the thing is, sausage is kind of heavy, so a little goes a long way. But at the same time, you kind of like started something. Back in the day, I was doing a lot of this stuff, and my focus was to turn it into a TV show. And my co-host was Jeff Mora, who's now become a huge dude on Food Network, which is, it's just kind of amazing to be able to like say a dude's name.
Yeah, you guys go way back. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, that's what's so weird is like, and now it's like the guy's like freaking Kraft mac and cheese, you know what I mean? The guy's brand, he is a brand name. But, you know, he used to call, the way we would barbecue, and it was basically tailgate-ish, was, American tapas, right? You just want to have you just want to keep it going. You never want to stop. And actually, I just had churrascaria last night, and I've learned this, Alex. I'm too old to really make churrascaria work to my advantage. I get full too quick. I'm too old. But like, you know, you just get a little bite of sausage. It goes a long way. But again, for that round one, you really want to see how well they can execute on a small scale. You know what I mean? Can you make something that's like legitimately like a dope little tiny edible experience, but that's, you know, that's going to show me something, but, you know, it's going to kind of get me intrigued for what you're going to do next, because it is about innovation. Like, you can't just throw down a double cheeseburger. You know what I mean? We want a little bit more. We want to see some creativity, really.
Yeah, I was going to ask, what was to get to Between the Buns, the second round on the NFL Tailgate Takedown on Food Network here? What's the Between the Buns MVP? Was there a notable feature or notable sandwich that you came across in your tailgate journey when you were filming the show?
You know, it's really tricky, because part of me is like, do I want to give too much away?
Yes.
B, the other part of it too is while I was traveling, and I went to Denver, I went to Houston, and I went to Buffalo. While I was traveling, I was also doing a significant amount of food reporting. And we'll have to definitely circle back on what that'll entail. It's a project that I'm working on that'll come out later in the summer. But I ate a lot, dude. You know what I mean? Like, and I just, some of this stuff starts to bleed a little bit, where I'm like, there was one thing that really stuck into my mind, but I say it because as soon as I had it, I was instantly like, oh, I'm stealing this recipe.
Oh, okay.
Which I don't think there is a higher compliment.
No.
And also it's because the last couple months I've been working with a couple brands, Good Stock by Nolan Ryan, which is his beef, his butcher shop up in Round Rock, and also with Fire and Flavor, which does they sell grills and seasonings and all kinds
Very
of
cool.
stuff. So I've actually inadvertently been doing a lot of tailgate recipe content, like, because if you're grilling, and, you know, chances are it's kind of handheld, or chances are it's made to go down with a beer or after you've had 2 or 3 beers, if you catch my drift.
Yep.
I've actually been creating a lot of recipes, a lot of burgers. And I had a brat burger on the show, and I'm not going to give too much away.
Okay.
But I was someone who's kind of like, it's really hard for me, for anyone to give me a burger that can do better than beef. You know what I mean? Like, to me, a burger is beef. Beef is a burger. And I'm always happy to try some. Oddly enough, I think the closest I've ever gone to going, okay, this is a burger I would get on the reg that's not beef, would be like basically when they nail seared rare sushi grade tuna. Like, you can do that. If you can hone. Do you like spicy tuna, Alex?
Oh, yeah. I'll always get a spicy tuna roll or spicy salmon whenever I'm mixing it up at the sushi restaurant.
If there have been some times where I basically, you know, it's that combo of like, usually it's like sriracha, but it's like that vinegar and spice, and then the creaminess of mayo on like seared tuna, and you get that, you know, tuna has glutamates, right? I mean, all that red, that is myoglobin, which is the same stuff. You know, when people go, I don't want my steak to be bleeding, it's not blood that's coming out, it's myoglobin.
Right.
It's the same flavor compounds. We're essentially the same flavor compounds. And basically, tuna is beefy. Tuna is beefier than turkey, truth be told. Short of tuna, no burger. Beef is never surpassed. However, there was a tailgate competitor on NFL Tailgate Takedown who did a brat burger, and I was just over the moon about it. And as soon as I had the bite, I was like, yeah. And you know what? You're going to be seeing it on tomorrow night's episode too.
Perfect.
So keep your eyes peeled. Bratburger, believe. And I swear to God, I think they use Johnsonville too. It was I'm a big believer in artisanal meats, craft meats. Like I like that. I mean, I like to, support the process of small farms and them doing their thing a certain way. And, but damn, that Johnsonville works, bro.
They could have aced it with any brat. Yeah.
It just works.
Very cool.
Yeah, Bratburger.
Bratburger. That's the best name. I like that. Cool. All right, so let's get to that final round, which is the desperation play in football. We all love to see the Hail Mary, where we're highlighting lots of meats and sides. Now, you mentioned the cities you went to. I'm very curious to see what you saw, but tell me about the unique meat and side plates that you'd seen, whether it's at Houston. I imagine there's got to be some Texas barbecue in our future if we're watching NFL Tailgate Takedown this season. Am I right?
So I got to tell you, and again, without giving too much away, one of the things you got to remember too is because, there's times, you know what I mean? These are timed rounds.
Oh, the smoker. That's not going to work.
Have smokers. There weren't offsets. I mean, This is really grilling,
okay.
Which, I think look, do I believe that, barbecue can play a factor, low and slow can play a factor? Certainly. I think for what we were going for this season, it was also very understandable that you couldn't just be like, oh yeah, well, I've been working on this brisket for 12 hours.
No, yeah, the time crunch is on. I respect that. It makes them perform. Yeah.
Yeah. So, there was really if you think about it and just the way the rounds are created and set up, there were just, that middle round, between the uprights and sandwiches, that's kind of where things really shine for me. And when you get to the third round, presentation was really big, but there is something for me, you achieve, tailgate nirvana is achieved in handheld form. Yeah. I almost think in a multiple course meal, or say with sushi, it's always for me, the last three pieces, you know what I mean? Not the very last, but that's the one that I'm I want seconds of. And for me, for Tailgate Takedown, between the uprights was really an opportunity for things to shine and really go well. I don't know, I almost think too, in the hands of a home cook cooking with a lot of heart and stuff, I think someone could really throw down. I could almost make this argument too, right? Sometimes there are certain things that are better at home than when you go out for it, right? I mean, I think a lot of people will argue there's something about a backyard burger, ...
Right.
And there's certain burgers you can't make at home. If someone got the Blackstone and they're throwing out smash burgers, good for them. They went for it. They put in some work, right? But even if you go to your friend's house and he's got the Weber kettle out, and even if it's the briquettes with the lighter fluid, right? Just the smell of that, man, and just a good thick burger that I'm having pretty fresh off the grill. You know what I mean? Just made with a little bit of love. It's amazing how satisfying that is, right?
Well said.
Yeah, I almost think too. Have you ever been to Top Notch?
Yes, it's been too long now. Yeah.
It's been a while. I mean, I went because I felt like I had to go. I went, for some reason, the first time I went, I tried the fried chicken, which was odd. But of course, I went to Top Notch because it's on Days of Confused, and Days of Confused is one of the greatest high school movies of all time. Perhaps the greatest, B, it's all, takes place here in Austin. And I went to Top Notch, and I tried the burger with my kid. Perfect scenario. I had to pick him up after he had, karate or something, right? And it was just that drive-through meal. We're eating the burger in the car, and I'm eating it, and I'm that's pretty good. And it tasted like a backyard burger. And as great as that was, part of me is well, I can make this at home. You know what I mean?
Yes.
I can do this. There is something about, maybe it's just a backyard burger, but I would almost argue too, there's other things like a good Italian cold cut sandwich. I went to what's it called, Home Slice the other day. They make a really good Italian cold cut sandwich. Like, if you start asking around, people will tell you that's actually the best thing on the menu, you know? The only problem is they charge $1 gazillion for it.
Yep,
but sometimes when I go to other delis, like, look, they're not doing a lot. All they're doing is layering. You know what I mean? They didn't make the bread. They sure as heck didn't make the capicola. All they're doing is layering. And I would argue, if you went to like Central Market and got the fresh bread, you could crush it if you wanted to. You just have to commit. You know what I mean? To just making it yourself. It's
well said. Yeah, the different venues do attract different taste buds and moments and vibe. The burger really does change wherever you make it. I haven't quite thought about that. And so hopefully the tailgate burger will be on full display this season. Again, it's NFL Tailgate Takedown, Wednesdays, 9-8 Central. Let's quickly talk about the cast before we get to some quick shots here. I'd be lying if I didn't say Vince Wilfork, as a New England Patriots fan for my entire life, I'm not sure there's many more humans that have brought me more happiness on a football field than Vince Wilfork. Tell me about the opportunity to work with the football legend turned food connoisseur in his own right. It seems like he's pretty well knowledged in what it takes to make a great tailgate. What was it like being on set with him?
Vince is, first of all, I just kind of, because of food TV, I've actually worked with people in the NFL. I worked with the bus on Chopped years ago.
Yeah.
I am so impressed with, look, I'm not an athlete. I didn't know athletes, professional athletes, whatever. I have been floored when I've worked with, and also Marshall Newhouse, who we did the Austin FC thing with, some of the most interesting, smart, and just kind of like almost Renaissance-like people I've met have been involved with the NFL. And Vince is no different. Dude loves his ribs. The guy butchers his own spares to make his own version of a St. Louis cut spare.
Nice.
Throws down, loves food. Generous, kind, warm. Like, I literally, dude, and I'm a fanboy. Whether it's a chef or co-host, talent, whatever, I no shame on me. Went right up to him, gave that big giant man a hug. I did challenge him to an arm wrestling.
Yeah, how'd that go?
Oh yeah, check that out. I don't want to give too much away. But I'll tell you. I've been working out in 2022, and I'm ready for my.
Okay, so wow, you won pretty fast. I'll be excited to see you win then. That's good.
Yeah. There were a lot of laughs because it happened so spontaneously, but clearly they liked it because they did an overhead shot of an arm comparison, which
Nice.
I think was pretty hilarious. But Vince is he's all that, and he's all that wrapped in a bow, man. The guy's an awesome dude. I mean, Kelsey Bernard Clark was my judge for a couple episodes, along with Eddie Jackson, and Kelsey and Vince and I just hung out in his trailer for like an hour after we were all done, laughing hysterically. Like, that's how awesome Vince is, and how awesome Kelsey is. We had killer chemistry. Eddie Jackson is just a Food Network powerhouse. I mean, talk about a guy who, when I think about, honestly, him, Jeff, and honestly, Guy Fieri are three people who all won Food Network Star, and look at them now. It's almost like crazy to think that they were competing on a show like Food Network Star before they've become stable. So Eddie's super great. And I really, what great about Eddie was gave me great advice as a judge because, unlike some of these other folks, I'm not a chef. You know what I mean? Like, I talk to chefs, and I love what chefs do, but I'm not a chef. So when you're judging a show like this, a lot of times you're like, how do you like kind of think about what would you do? And like what, and you want to like kind of bring the best critique you can. Eddie's amazing because he breaks it down so simply. You know what I mean? And he is just like 100% unabashed himself. You know what I mean? He I think he has a tremendous gift of putting things in his own words. It really is like his delivery and stuff is very close to his POV. And then speaking of, like, then you have Sunny Anderson. And when you think about one of her first series, Cooking for Real, she just, her POV is everything about her. And I'll tell you, she is a force. And I got to tell you, like, probably, I mean, her and Jeff are probably two of the biggest advocates I have at the network. Like, Sunny is a queen.
That's awesome.
She, like, huge heart, so supportive. Like, you know what, dude? I'll just say it. She had like an Oprah moment at the very end of when we wrapped. she proceeded to do a raffle and gave away a bunch of prizes and stuff for everyone who worked on the show. And she just did that. She just went and did that. Man.
Wow. That's, I would never in a world think to be as generous as that in my life. That's amazing.
And she said something, and it was so true. She was just like, we've all been there working jobs that maybe we didn't think were the best jobs. I just want to say right now, what we do is hard work, but it's also a lot of fun too. And I just want to say thank you. And I can't, you just no matter what you do, whatever, however you approach life, like to have a moment like that where you all of a sudden just are stopped in your tracks and you're like, man, I'm so appreciative. And that's how I felt about the show. I was very fortunate to be a part of it. It was so much fun, and I really hope to do it again.
No, thanks for bringing us behind the scenes of that dream too, because it's that moment when you're standing there and you say, I'm exactly where I want to be right now. There's not much more powerful in life. So very cool to hear. Again, it's Ali Khan Eats on IG. Follow him there. Let's spend a minute each on some of the real cool experiences you've had recently, because I wanted to touch on what you mentioned earlier, the anatomy of the burger. You are the unofficial burger connoisseur, it feels like, in the state of Texas in our land, and you've had some really cool journeys for that project you're working on. But one notable that we have to talk about is you spent some time with the legend, one half of the Underground Kings himself, Bun B. What was it like to just spit game with a legendary rapper like that in your journey?
Well, it's funny. First of all, how I was saying, like, I'm unabashed. Like when I see people and they, I'm just like, I ain't shy.
Right.
I
been around some people before. Yeah.
I just jumped up and I gave him a great big hug. And P.S. I got his info because of Vince. Vince got me Bun's number. I knew that because Vince lives in Houston as well as Florida. And I just threw up. It was a Hail Mary. And he goes, I got Bun's number. So I was able to connect with Bun. His burger spot, Trill Burgers, is just about to open its brick and mortar. They just announced it the day I met him. But, again, like, man, dude, there's some great people out there, man. It's hard because, like, you can jump on social media and you see people basically being shit at each other all the time. I can tell you, like, I have gone out and met people that you think maybe, like, because of their accomplishments, have, like, huge egos and stuff like that. I've just met some really generous people, generous with their time, appreciative, down to earth, wow, everything. Just awesome. Just awesome. He's an awesome dude, man. And, look, he just, a great burger concept came his way. He goes, I'm going to promote this like an album. And he created this whole thing. Also, it's delicious. Houston has an incredible smash burger scene. It's something that as a food writer, I kind of wanted to spin as a thing. But the truth is, dude, like, I kept hitting up these spots going, man, dude, like, this is a great smash burger. This is a great smash burger for different reasons. And this one's taking me back to, like, the burgers I grew up on. So Houston also was very much the sixth man, and I mean the city. And when I say sixth man, it's like that extra man on the floor in basketball. Like Houston, I've long admired Houston from afar because of the years I spent in LA, being in a huge multicultural, diverse city, and Houston is very much that. When I met all these burger people, I met African Americans, Asian Americans, South Asian Americans, and then and a white chef too. You know what I mean? But like, and that wasn't intentional.
That's cool.
It speaks to
they're all in the burger game. Wow.
Yeah, and Houston. It speaks to Houston.
Yeah,
man. This is Houston. And I always loved that. In the back of my mind, I'm always going to be a kid who, grew up in the 80s in the Midwest, and, things are the way my son's grown up. I think it's definitely America's changed a little bit, but at the same time, it always is cool for me to see different walks of life all here for the same thing, right? All basically just like being just like anybody else, but also like, it's, America is like that quilt, right? And there's just more and more patches we keep adding year after year. It was an amazing thing to witness. The burgers were delicious. I went to San Angelo earlier this year to explore like burgers in mom and pop Tex-Mex restaurants. And that was also a thing where people were like, wait, you're just here to try our burger? And I'm like, yeah. And it ended up being a whole thing. Like there's a style to doing burgers there and stuff. And honestly, I'm just thankful for Texas Highways and for my editor, Michael Hawinski, he basically was advocating for me to be the Daniel Von Jose Rolado burgers for Texas. And
nice.
This is a big state and there's a lot of burgers to explore. And it's like he said in the tweet, he goes, Texas has a barbecue editor and has a taco editor. Now it's going to get a burger editor. I got to think of myself as like, I don't know, a burger hype man. An editor sounds a little too clinical for me.
Right. Yeah.
But, we're going to be rolling out stories bi-monthly on Texas Highways throughout 2023.
I'll workshop your nickname title while I see those pieces come out. So I'm looking forward to that as well.
It needs a little more flair. That's the thing is like, that's the funny thing with me, Alex, is like, I'm not a chef. I'm not a journalist. I'm something, you know what I mean? There's just something else in there that I need to kind of push. I don't know.
Very cool. Let's talk about a couple stadium experiences since we are all about tailgate for this episode. You had a really cool stadium experience, maybe not the greatest game experience for you. You did get to go to the Cotton Bowl at Jerry World, though, for USC in Tulane. Explain that experience and going to the game, maybe just a 60-second stadium review on maybe the most gargantuan stadium you can find.
Yeah, I mean, it's epic. I mean, it's totally epic. And as I can be very plain about saying I am not a diehard Dallas Cowboys fan at all. Right. I don't know. My wife's from Philadelphia, but yeah, you got to love Jerry's house. The place is amazing. It's epic. It was thrilling. A ton of USC people were there. And I was surprised. Yeah, Tulane not only apparently has a football team, but, they have colors. They have a fan base. Yeah, I mean, there's always a flip side to winning a thriller, and that's losing a thriller. It's heartbreaking. I had a lot of beers to kind of get through that day.
Yeah.
But, it was pretty cool. We literally, flew in for the day, caught the game, and then flew back out. And it's pretty exciting, man. And that whole area is rad, too, because there's the whole, I don't know if they call it Arlington Live, but we saw a Rangers game and did the same thing, went to the game and then kind of hung out and grabbed some beers and checked out whatever. They have restaurants and stuff around there afterwards. And it was just a lot of fun. But I've had enough. Unfortunately, it's the second time I've seen USC play at Jerry's house, and they've lost both times. They lost to Ohio State, and then they lost to Tulane. Kind of hard for me to even say those words. But it was definitely, I don't know, man. I don't know if there's a better stadium. That place is pretty lit.
No, and that Jumbotron's just a sight to behold of itself, too. And thing stretches the entire field.
So hard. And the funny thing is I saw a game at Denver, and I also saw a game in Houston for the Tailgate Takedown. And I tried real hard to not look at the screen because, I'm looking at the action on the field or whatever, but it is impossible to ignore the screen in Dallas. It's just, what are you thinking? It's
special sight, indeed. Love it. Let's circle back and go back of the tailgates that you got to see. You don't have to give away too much about the food, but which tailgate on this season of NFL Tailgate Takedown that you saw would you like to go back and pay one more visit to just to eat at specifically?
Oh, that's a tricky one, man. That's kind of tricky. God, I'll tell you this. It was, and I feel like I would be remiss, certainly not bringing up, what happened with Hamlin, with Buffalo. Right?
Oh yeah, no, exactly. Terrible tragedy. Yeah.
Yeah, and obviously I think we're all not just Bills fans. We're really rooting for that family. That he has a speedy 100% recovery. But, I did go to a game in Buffalo, loved Buffalo. I went there on Cheap Eats. Buffalo is an amazing food city. I just want to go back. Dude, Bill's Mafia is incredible. It's something, man. You are in a part of the country that's just man, it's Buffalo, New York. It's raw. It's real. You can't make it up. You know what I mean? Hollywood's best writers couldn't create what I think the experience of Buffalo is, which is part, to me, middle America-ish, because I grew up in the Midwest, and it just reminds me of that. But it just has these interesting curveballs, like, and actually a surprisingly dynamic food scene, like a huge second to Dearborn, Michigan, in terms of like Arab American food.
Oh, okay.
Which, that'll throw you for a loop. I had this whole roasted lamb over rice. So part of me is like, I just want to go back to Buffalo to just be around Bills fans and really eat in the city. And maybe I'm throwing some bias. And I don't want to give too much away, but we had a tailgate team from Philadelphia at the Eagles at Texans, and they did make a cheesesteak. They threw down some pretty interesting stuff. But it's funny. What's interesting is when you're doing a show like this is it's a challenge, and it's just like a football game. You know what I mean? On paper, you could see it one way, but then there's what happens the day of. And, I think what's great about this show, and when I try and revisit, like, where would I want to go back to, inevitably you're tied to the fact of game day performance, okay? And these chefs are essentially, cooking competition shows have become the sportsification of food, right? And you get to see chefs perform as athletes, and some people, like, through adversity, find that moment, you know what I mean? Slip in there, sneak in a point or two, grab a win, grab a TD, hit a home run, and I think, like, it so much of the experience was just tied to, like, the individual chefs and how they perform. So, and you can't replicate that. I think ultimately it's all very kind of unique. And I think ultimately with this show, when you look at it, I think through the fun guys that we have of kind of calling like, plays on the field, if you will, I think you'll appreciate food competition in that way, which is like, it's like any given Sunday, man. Anything can happen.
Yeah,
Who
absolutely.
knows, like, what food city's going to trump the other because you just didn't think about that city in that way.
Oh, yeah. Hey, and I'm a betting man, so I know if this show is anywhere near as unpredictable as the NFL is, we're in for some entertainment. That's for sure.
You know what it is? The answer came down to this. It's too unpredictable for me to just say, oh, I want to go back. You know what I mean? Because it was a true throwdown. You know what I mean? And, like, people had some ideas and some things sound good on paper and some things just don't execute that well because, you're in a parking lot. You know what I mean? And, like, you're working a fryer, you're working a grill, you've got time management and all that stuff. And all this stuff isn't new when it comes to food competition, but we had a lot of fun calling it like a football game. I'll tell you that.
Very exciting. Again, it's Ali Khan. Catch him on NFL Tailgate Takedown Wednesdays, 9/8 Central, streaming on Discovery Plus as well. We'll be sure to connect down the line for a burger or possibly an Austin FC game as well, too. And best of luck out there as well.
Thank you, man. Always a pleasure.
And we're back. Great chat there with Ali Khan, as always. And good to know that you're one of your favorite former Patriots.
Oh, yes. Gave me a lot of happiness.
Loves his barbecue.
He is a BBQ lover. Vince Wilfork, big-time BBQ guy. Really cool to see him on set, hanging out with Ali and sharing those stories as well, too. And nothing better than a tailgate, especially as we're heading into these playoff weeks, heading towards Super Bowl Sunday. The tailgate foods are definitely on your mind. What are your, like, go-to highlights that you just need to see, like, food-wise, the ideal tailgate?
Well, here's the problem. I've never been on a tailgate.
I know. I love asking this question to you because it blows my mind that you've never actually just literally parking lot tailgated in your life, not once.
I mean, we went to Quinnipiac of all schools. We didn't have a football team, so we didn't
I wonder
do
how much tailgating is going outside the hockey games there. I bet it's actually happening.
Actually, it could be happening now. And I've only ever I only went to Gillette, which was really a hike to get there from southern New Hampshire to get all the way to south of Boston to Gillette. Only went there once for a Konkafka Gold Cup doubleheader. So, no, actually, that's not true. I went again for a Revolutions game. So
yes, you have to. This is something that I would like you to try and check off in 2023. That's not an aggressive ask by me. I would like you to find and attend a tailgate. I think that is very doable for you this year.
The wife wants to go back up to Virginia Tech sometime and go to. She doesn't really want to go to a football game, but
Virginia
that would
Tech,
be the
Enter Sandman, the greatest college football theme entrance in the land.
Yeah, and I missed any opportunities because the neighbor has season tickets to the Jaguars, and so he was there Saturday for the win and you're in.
But let's talk playoffs in the NFL right now. The playoff Jaguars. You change that title to the playoff Jaguars.
When was the last time you could say the playoff bound Jacksonville Jaguars?
Yeah, they had that wild card. I think they lost. I forget. Yeah, it's been gloom and doom in recent years until they got Trevor Lawrence for sure.
Yeah. So they're in. My Giants are in, even though we lost to the Eagles. We already booked it, so we're playing the Vikings on Wild Card Weekend. How'd your Patriots do?
Oh my God! Well, first off,
keep in mind the entire world was rooting against the Patriots. Not
only the entire world was rooting against us because we're the Patriots. First of all, that reason, but then the entire world was also rooting against us because of everything that happened with DeMar Hamlin, who thankfully is on a path to recovery. And that was an extremely emotional week for the Bills. And he literally just dropped down right from the heavens and gave the Bills the opening kickoff for a touchdown. As soon as that happened, 15 seconds into the game, Mike, I knew we were porked. We were screwed as soon as that happened. And sure enough, it was the end of the season for the Patriots, 8-9, and we're booking our vacations pretty early.
Yeah, so that was the final weekend of the year. How'd you do in your Run Your Pool picks, Alex?
Not good.
Did you break 500?
Oh, bad January regular season. We are on to the playoffs for sure. 45% against the spread overall. So not terrible, but definitely under 500 indeed with the weekly picks. I pick a handful of games each week. I'll have my article up. I'm hoping for a reset here. I got picks for all 6 wildcard games coming up this weekend on runyourpool.com. What I will say, Mike, is I know that you are focused on your path to the doom game. You want this Giants versus Tom Brady game more than a pint of blood. Okay, your path this weekend for that to happen is you need the Giants to win. You obviously need the Bucks to hold down things against the Cowboys at home, but you're also going to need the Seahawks to go into San Francisco and win on the road. Then they'll be the lowest remaining seed. They'll play the 1 seed in the Eagles, and you'll get your Giants-Bucks matchup after all. So that's your path there.
I mean, I am certainly rooting for the Bucks because there's no way in hell I can root for the Cowboys.
Exactly. Yeah. So I think that would be fun if it happens. So Giants, Bucks, Seahawks for the path to the TB12 Giants reunion.
It would be pretty awesome. It really would be. Too bad it wouldn't be at the Meadowlands.
Nah, yeah, you're not seated high enough for that. Sorry.
Be in Tampa, but oh well. So we'll see what happens during playoff weekend. Your Run Your Pool playoff picks are up now. runyourpool.com. So check it out there, and we'll see if you can redeem yourself in the
I need to. The people are clamoring for a winning week, so I got to deliver it to them.
You know who had a winning weekend?
Who's that?
Quinnipiac University, our alma mater. We just have to shout them out because there's a whole lot of greatness going on. I
saw this. Yeah, what's going on? Are they like super on fire right now?
All of them are on fire right now. Let's first talk hockey. Let's talk college hockey. Let's talk the Quinnipiac University men's hockey team. We are unbeaten, and undefeated, 12-0 in the ECAC, our hockey conference. We have a 16 straight unbeaten streak going on, 9 straight home W's. And we are unbeaten in our 5 ranked matchups.
I mean, that's clutch. This is that thing. We've climbed this mountain before. Right. We're winning the regular season. We know that this has to roll over for the next 90 to 120 days.
It does. And as a result, the Quinnipiac men are now number 1 in the nation, number 1 hockey team in the nation. The women, on the other hand, also doing fantastically well. Not nearly as perennial a winning team as the men are, but they've been doing very well the last few seasons. They went into Fenway for the Winter Classic in the snow.
Always cool.
Beat Harvard.
Nothing like winning a game at Fenway against Harvard, right?
I mean, the Quinnipiac University women's hockey team has more wins at Fenway Park in 2023 than the Boston Red Sox.
Very cool. And that is a little dig. I'll let it go because the season doesn't start for a couple months.
number 4 in the polls. And I know you've been paying attention to the basketball team.
Yeah, they're slightly on fire as well, too. Just had a big win this weekend. You'll appreciate this. Crushed Iona. Iona coach Rick Pitino. Yep, that's right. Yeah. Rick Pitino.
Yep. Rick
thrown
Pitino
out of the game for arguing call an official. So it's a fun little Sunday headline there. Yeah, shout out to the QE basketball program doing well.
I do miss, oh man, I'm blanking on his name. Who was the head coach of the men when we were there?
Tom Moore.
Tom Moore, he was a chair thrower.
Yes, he did. I don't know how far he got him. I think he usually kept him to the sidelines, but yeah, he did like to throw a chair from time to time.
It was a lot of fun to watch. A little update on our Quinnipiac University Bobcats. Let's hashtag AlwaysEndWithFood.
Yes, let's do it. Food segment to end every Course of Life episode. Follow Always End With Food on Instagram for all of our obnoxious food content. It's super obnoxious now because I'm the health freak. It's the January diet, so everything I do is healthy. You can hear how thrilled I am about the whole thing. It's a really great development. I'm dropping weight left and right and going to the gym 4 times a week, and no bread, no beer, no booze, no nothing. But it's the land of salads. Let me tell you that. There are a lot of salads going through my system right now.
Yeah, I wish I had your I don't know what the right
willpower
word is.
Maybe
willpower. Yeah, I mean I have restraint. I do a good job with that, but there are times when it's just like, oh, we have family in town and we're going to go out to dinner tonight, so I guess I'll
Right, and this no bread thing, really, it makes me no friends at all. I am on a complete island with this no bread thing. I tell everyone about my diet and my exercise and my dry January, and I get nothing but applauses and recommendations. And then I say I'm not eating any bread, and the conversation just comes to a dead halt. And I think
does everyone just get up and walk away from you when you say that?
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah. It's just like,
I would do that if I could, but I'm tethered with headphones.
Where did you go? I saw you went somewhere over this past week, right? You went to a new.
We did. We went to a restaurant called The Grove in Savannah, which is it's been around for a number of years now. I think they opened in the before COVID.
Okay.
And we've been meaning to go and just never have. And we finally went with some family that was in town for the weekend, who was moving their kid into SCAD for the new semester.
Sure.
And got some Nashville hot chicken. Now, here's first of all, the chicken was fantastic. I thought everything everybody ate was fantastic. I ordered their Nashville hot chicken, and the waiter said, "Are you okay with spicy food?" And I went, "Yeah." And he went, "It's really spicy. Are you okay with that?" I was like, "Yeah, it's fine."
Damn,
I'm thinking, how hot is this really going to be?
Yeah.
It comes. I take a bite of it. It's not that hot.
Wow. 2 warnings though. I mean, I see one warning saying, "Are you sure it's a spicy dish?" But the double down warning, that's like fear invoking.
It was. I was kind of a little concerned when he said that, but I was like, "Nah, it's fine." I mean, how hard are you gonna make it? It's a restaurant in the middle of the tourist section of Savannah. It's not gonna be that blazingly hot, and it was the right amount of heat. It was numbing. It had a good sweetness to it as well. Came with mashed potatoes, so you could kind of take some mashed potatoes when you're taking a bite of chicken, so it kind of like helps soothe it out if it was getting too much for you. I thought it was great. I thought it was really good.
Okay. That sounded great.
And then we got dessert afterwards, and dessert was great too. So,
I guess shout out to you. Maybe like 8 out of 10 times people send that back and say it's too hot. So I guess you're just more powerful than the rest of us.
I mean, I know it is going to sound horrible. I know that I have a good heat tolerance, and I do enjoy a lot of different spices on my food, not spice like heat, but flavors.
Yeah.
I am a very adventurous eater, which is surprising because if you ask my grandmother, I used to only eat chicken nuggets and fries. And then one day I was at a restaurant sitting underneath the table. This is a story she tells.
Yeah.
And everyone else was eating salad and I was under the table, and I came out from under the table and went, "Everyone else is eating salad. I think I should try some."
Wow. You just came to your senses under the table.
Rest is history. Yeah.
What a moment in your childhood there.
I know. But now it's back to the diet. Now that we're done with the weekend, it's back to the quote-unquote diet. So
leave the salads to me for now, I guess. This is going to be the slogan for the next few weeks here. Indeed, that's a wrap on this week's Course of Life. Thank you to everyone for tuning in. If you haven't hit the subscribe button and you're still listening right now, just hit subscribe so you don't have to find these episodes every week. They'll get right to you when you need them. Thank you again for tuning in. We'll see you next week.